Alright guys, sorry about that. It's Sunday. I've been trying to get on this whole video thing, and I told my son to give me like an hour and a half, and then I would take him to Chuck E. Cheese. Even though Chuck E. Cheese is cheesy and lamey, like where else cheesy and lamey, there's only so many places we can go that's so far with me being where I am right now with like work and his school and everything. So, and I am just really working on some stuff in this time frame, so I don't want to go all the way like 45 minutes out of my way. So, anyway, what I was saying about Aquarius being at like your lowest, and then like Leo's your highest. Not that you had a crappy childhood. There were just certain maybe there were certain like Aquarian things that went on in your childhood that you as a person just didn't agree with as you got older. And not to say it was all bad, but what I'm getting to is, from that, you take that and then like you are transforming into who you are from something maybe you kind of felt like lacked or something. Okay, well, for me, I said, well, my dad. Well, it wasn't my dad, but his family. So I told you I felt like the black sheep in a lot. And I have family that loves me, and I know they accept me, and I hang out with them. But um, there was always a part of me missing because I was so different. And my side of the family, like my grandmother and my aunt, and like they were always around. They were always there, and that was that part of me that was missing because they're different too, and that my differentism mixed with their differentism, and that was just one of the. It wasn't an issue, but I just see now what it has to do with this in a manner, because I was very expressive, weird, different, drawn to different things. They are too. They're the family that has more of that psychic blood, or that spiritual blood, and so you could see how it resonated with me. So what I'm getting to is with Leo, and being in your 10th house and wanting to express yourself for the highest good, for people, to build people up. Being a humanitarian, you want to be a leader. You probably have had issues with not being able to like be the, not issues with not being the manager, but like you're kind of rebellious. You're kind of like, with your job, like you want to have good leniency. You can't stand, things that your manager does. You can do it better, or you think he's talking to people wrong, or he's like negative, and you just know you could do his job better. Okay, well, that is, if Leo is in your 10th house, I'm telling you, you can agree with some of the things I'm saying because you're just so like nobody tells you what to do in a manner. And that's like star seeds too, even though I don't like to put labels, the rebellious thing. And you do submit to things, and all these other things come to play. But what I'm saying is here, like deep down in here, once you start seeing yourself. For me, trying to get a job, like I loved the restaurant and I sold cars for a year, but before I got pregnant. But I always worked in the restaurant, and I loved the restaurant, and I could see myself running a restaurant and owning a restaurant. I love to cook, so that was gross. A gnat just flew in my mouth, and I think it's coming from a plant. Anyway, so you see yourself in a leadership position. People kind of look up to you in a way, and you kind of realize like you do inspire people. And if you don't realize it after I'm telling you this, you might realize how well you get inspired off of people. And we're all different, because I'm a Libra. I like getting inspired off of inspiration off of people. But as the Leo part of me in my 10th house, I like inspiring people. So, and it was even on a subconscious level for a while. My braid's crap, y'all. I don't have time. So, I had, with my jobs, I always ended up having some type of leniency because I was so charming with my managers, and that kind of sounds manipulative, but I was just like, I never hadn't brought any drama to the table. I always just did my job, and no, I wasn't like shitty with my job, like I just handled everything, so I had leniency. I was rewarded with that, always. The most discipline I need in my life is discipline with myself. But I never want anyone to look down upon me as anything less than a leader. Therefore, I always would fulfill those shoes in that position for that person. So I was blessed to be able to do that. So it come to a point in time in my life where I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Because I don't want to cut hair. I don't want to go back to selling cars, working 10 to 12 hours a day. I don't want to be in a restaurant. Like, I want to be my own freaking boss. Because for me, I don't have a good concept of time. I'm always late. I'm a procrastinator, but I also have learned that I can't be worried and stressed all the time about it, that it just needs to be on my effing time because it always works out. And I just didn't want that pressure, even though they say, oh, don't, let it affect you. Well, it was the rebel part of me. And I got that boutique bus because I had been wanting to own a shop for 2 years now. I had been wanting to run a shop, but I didn't want to pay all this expensive rent and this and that. And it just seemed like a very big jump to take. So I thought start smaller, and that's when the bus came along. And there's also a story behind that, having like a dream that was telling me, I really need to listen to some advice that someone's giving me, someone close to me, at this particular time. I need to pay attention. And it was actually my mother the next day called me and was like, I know that you really want to shop downtown, because I wanted an old building downtown. She says, but I just think you should really look into these like boutique buses. There's one here for sale in Louisiana, and they'd already sold it. So I looked, and there were only 2 the whole time. The whole state of Texas, there were only 2. And the other one was like it was perfect. Like, it was perfect price. It had all the wiring for my music, because music is my life, and a part of expressing myself is through my music. So it was like, at that shift, it was a shift, and I was like, you're going to take this jump, because here's your opportunity. And even in my dream, it said you should listen to advice that someone's given you close to you, and that there's an opportunity that's about to portray itself. Boom, found it. That's called intuition. Always go with your gut. And it was scary, but I knew it was right. And here I am, going to open very soon. So that is part of being the Leo, is I took that jump, and I'm about to express myself as my own boss in my own leadership position, not even realizing what my 10th house represented until up to a couple of months ago and leading up to today. Today, because it takes time for things to sink in, today I realized, like, I'm shining. Because I told you guys, we've all got to shine. When we shine and we feel great, and that heart chakra opens, that energy, that energy goes out, and it affects other people like us. That's what's happening. Like, and that's like that's on all levels, because this is what I'm trying to say. Don't let fear and anxiety bring you down, because I've had plenty of it. We've all had plenty of it. But there will be key factors and times in your life where you have epiphanies, and you're like, I gotta rise out of this shit. When it comes down to manifestation, like, you gotta believe. Like, you can't keep being negative. You gotta believe. You gotta tell yourself, it's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. As a Leo in the 10th house, you're very expressive. You're expressive in a different way. You want to be your own boss. You want to uplift people. You have to. Okay, you have to shine. It's like almost like you have to sell yourself, but you have to center your business around you and give yourself that type of attention, so it inspires you to be your all. And while it does that, it is inspiring people around you, and it's even coming out of you that you want to inspire these people. And that's the whole point that I'm trying to make, is like, I've had all this knowledge. I've had this spiritual awakening. I've been doing my studies. I've been taking in my perspectives. I've been evaluating and weighing the odds and just like educating myself. And I have been wanting to tell the world certain things. And I find myself lecturing people that probably don't want to be lectured. So I'm taking it another step. I'm here on YouTube, and I'm putting myself out there, and I'm just going to start saying, what I need to say. And I might just build me a crew that wants to hear what I have to say in the morning, and, get through their day with some like little inspirational talk. I'm not sitting here being like, yeah, I cheer you on. I'm here for you guys. Like, you can do it, do it, do it. No, I'm giving you an intellectual, a conversation or an like an intellectual perspective that has to do with like science and spirituality tied into one, that's going to make you look at your life in a better way. Okay? And I'm expressing myself and being my true authentic self, which is like the most essential thing to be, is never lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. So I'm not lying to myself anymore. I'm not letting these past traumas from people telling me that I was weird, or people making me feel insecure, or people telling me you can't do this, or people saying, don't talk about that kind of stuff. It's going to make you look crazy. No, I'm being me, and I'm shining my light, and my light is going to shine light on other people and help them shine their light. And that all has to do with ascension. Okay? So, back to the boutique. I own a boutique called the Boho Bus Boutique. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at the Boho Bus Boutique. I have not opened any internet sales, and it might be a little while, but this is advertisement at its best. And you might find something on there that you really like within the next couple months. So I'm starting. I'm here in my transition, and I'm speaking with you guys on things that I feel like people need to hear from a humanitarian perspective to help them better evaluate themselves, the people around them, their life, and put them onto their life path. I'm also opening my boutique because I need to make money to survive, to be able to pay my internet bill to talk to you guys, and to be able to travel and see all these amazing little tool maps that were left on the earth by our ancestors, and all this mystical shit to decipher the world, because I want to know everything. So here I am. The bus is me also expressing myself. I put my creation in my mind, what I envisioned, into this bus to the best of the ability that I could, with the essentials that I had to do it. But it's a step, and it will grow bigger. And as big as I want this to grow, my life, it will, as long as I'm assertive with it, and I put my happy, outgoing, inspirational, positive outlook on it. It's going to grow. You give that plant attention, and you water that seed, and you talk to it, and you're positive. You don't have to talk to it, but you're positive, and it's in the sunlight, and the sunlight brings vitamins and happiness. It's gonna grow, unless there's something wrong with it, because that happens. It's gonna grow, but it has to have the attention. And I don't mean your attention for me. I'm saying I have to give myself the attention that I need to fulfill my true intentions. So, I got the bus, and I was my own boss. So what I'm saying is, with being the Leo in the 10th house, you want to be your own boss, and you want to express yourself. You want to express yourself in an eccentric way. You have to be happy with your job, and you also have to you have to be happy in life. You have to be the one in control of your life. You're going to be the leader. You're going to be the boss. And then whatever you do, you're going to shine. You're going to shine bright. You're going to use yourself and your expression. And I found that to be true with my bus, because as conceited as it sounds, I love the camera. I love taking photos. I love being in photos. I love sitting. I love matching clothes. And see, when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, like I said, what I'm going to do. I don't want to work for anyone. I thought, well, what better job to have than to shop and resell? Because I love clothes. I love shopping. I love fashion. And I come from a pretty wealthy family, but they didn't spoil us in the manner that they bought us all the clothes that I always felt like I had lacked in the super hip, trend clothes compared to other spoiled brats around me. And I don't feel that way anymore. And it's not that I want Michael Kors, it's just my sense of taste, and being able to pair exactly what clothes I like together. And I'm doing that with my job. So, for instance, I used myself as one of my models, because with this boutique, I needed pictures, I needed expression. And I used myself along with my cousin and a very close friend who's super good in the camera. God, she's great, for to show the image, to put myself out there. And That's like part of it. A part of me was like, it looks a little conceited that I put like myself on these posters, and then another part of me was like, no, fuck it, like this is cute. Half of them ain't even gonna know that's me, and once they realize it's me, either they're gonna congratulate me or not say anything about it, and that's okay. But I have the image, and the confidence, and I feel the camera, to put more expression into that poster, into that business. So, and I'll be driving this bus, into these markets, and people are going to see me. I'm going to have to talk to people and express myself. So, this year really is the year of transition for a lot of us because it's in Leo, and that's what Leo represents in a manner, like family, home, and business. But my 10th house represents the same thing, my business, leadership, how everybody's 10th house represents something in that manner, and then Leo ties into that. So it did magnify it for me, and I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared to speak my truth or my perspective or how I feel or what I think. I might not always be right in someone else's eyes, and sometimes we can get things wrong, and I've even said that, like with your psychics, because, well, I mean, I'm not like I'm an intuitive, like I'm a empath, psychic, spiritual. I'm a spiritual being, is what I like to say. I'm a spiritual being. But I read stuff, and sometimes I read things wrong, and that's why I said when you see people like that, or sometimes, I'm sorry, it's not always reading things wrong. Sometimes I read things and are aware of it about a person or about a situation, and those people in that situation or that person isn't even fucking aware of it yet. So to them, they're like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, and or be like, no, that doesn't resonate. Well, no, it won't now, but eventually it will. And I'm not someone who can just sort out past, present, and future. You can do that with the tarot deck, but what I'm getting to is like, I might come up with something that isn't there yet, if that makes sense. So, and I said, be careful, with your psychics, because with your readers, because they'll do that too, and just go easy on them, because some are phonies and some aren't. So, I know that kind of directed off the path, but it had to do with seeing a situation, like seeing the bigger picture. And with Leo in my 10th house, like I see it now. I truly do. With Leo in the 10th house as a leader in like that leadership position, it isn't driven by ego. It's driven by the heart. It's driven by soul purpose. And so for me, like, because I might be a little eccentric, I'll find things funny like that other people don't. And there's been times that I didn't post it on my Instagram because I was like, God, 3 out of like 1,000 people are gonna like this because nobody's gonna get it, But like I said, it isn't driven by ego. We all have a little ego, but being a leader as a Leo in the 10th house isn't driven by ego. So I might like post something on Instagram, and I know that I'm only gonna get like a couple likes, but it's okay because I spoke my word. I sent that message out there, and someone who needed to see it seen it. Versus other people might be like, if they didn't get so many likes within so many hours, they delete the post because of their social egotistical status. My social status, it might have some ego in there, but for the most part, it's not. It's to make others feel good. Like it's just so crazy to me how all these humanitarian things are mixed in with my personality, and how people made me judge myself because their perception was so small. They were judging me from a jealousy and hatred manner, calling me conceited and all this and that, self-centered. And I am self-centered a bit, and we all are, but you got to worry about yourself before you can worry about anybody else. But I see now that it was never self-centered driven. That was coming from someone who couldn't think as deep as me. And then once you start looking, in your in numerology and astrology, you will see it for yourself. It's there. I mean, it will explain to you why you're that way in a manner, and I see it all so clear, so clear. The hawk, I told you guys, is my it's my spirit animal, but he's also my like native animal, my totem animal. Like he's my zodiac. He's one of those zodiacs, and I need to look because I kept saying it's Native American and something else, but it's not the Chinese. It's something. Anyway, um, I have three birds, the two hawks and one in the raven, which I find that even matches the dark side of me. But the hawk is seeing the bigger picture. And there are times when I've been naive about things due to my surroundings, or not being able to think for myself due to my surroundings. But you come out of that, and it's all growing experiences, like I said. So I do see the bigger picture. I'm super excited about the bus. I'm so excited I'm here expressing myself to you guys. It feels a relief. Like, once you let go of what everybody expects out of you, what society expects out of you, you will feel so much better, because you are what you attract, and you'll start attracting the people that you need in your life, or people that are meant to be in your life, or people who's going to push you in the right direction of your life, who's on that same frequency, that energetic frequency. So, being, just having Leo in my 10th house, to me, gives me more answers that, to let go of that fear, like my business is going to be fine. Who I am is fine. Put your messages out there. It's going to be fine. Like, who cares what people think about you anymore? Who cares? Because they can only understand you from the depths of their own perception. And there's nobody I like more than someone who's willing to listen and expand the depths of their perception. If there is someone in your life who just cannot accept you for who you are, or cannot accept the way that you are, or just can't accept the unknown, or just can't accept things in life, like they're so stuck in this stagnant, same circle, same shit, circling around and again, and they're not doing you any good. Like, you take that person as a lesson and you move forward, because you are, depending on your zodiac sign, you are a percentage of the people that you hang around. And if you're an empath, it's even greater. If you're a Libra, it's even greater. I'm a Libra empath. They'll say Libras are like 75-80% of the people they hang around. And I've seen that to be true, because I've seen, I see the bigger picture, and I've seen things that's happened in my life that has affected who I am, has affected my thought process. Like, Libras want to help and give and balance, and I was so worried about balancing the people around me, balancing the situation around me, balancing the drama around me, that I wasn't balancing myself. And it just comes a time where you snap out of things and you realize. And I was taking in these people's personalities, and these people's toxicity, and these people's judgments, and these people's perspectives, I was so worried about getting certain things done, because of the way someone else was going to see it, with some guilt or self-doubt or insecurity. And that is such bullshit. I mean, are you really going to let other people, like, direct your life? Like, no, snap out of it. Do what is good for you, out of your soul. Express yourself. Find your sense of self. Follow your path. No matter what anyone else tells you about tradition, or that's not right, or, like, you don't, like, that's not the way to do it. I mean, I'm not saying, like, do something super out there, study a little bit, like, educate yourself a little bit, make sure you do it in a stable manner, because Libras are all about stability. But don't live a life that makes you uncomfortable and makes you contain the person you are. Because we are not here to contain our expression. We're not here to contain our passion. We are here to let it flow. And that's why we have emotions, because they're expressive. And they're not always good for us, and sometimes, you know, letting your emotions have the best of you can fuck some shit up. But if you can find that creative energy and use that emotion and make it creative and put it out there, you will see the effects as if it's positive. I mean, you're going to see it if it's negative too, but I'm saying in a positive manner. Take this in a positive manner and really put it out there. So, anyway, I've got to take my son to Chuck E. Cheese, but I'll do a refreshing real fast. A refreshing. I'm going to do a refreshing real fast. I'm going to continue my studies. I'm going to continue my studies, and let me get back to that refreshing. I'm going to continue my studies and put more videos out there of each house. I will probably be using myself, obviously, and I'm going to go through all my houses. But in time, I'll also try to go through, like, you know, the planets too, and through zodiacs and through numerology. I'm going to use myself first, so I'm going to use my numbers, but you guys might have, you know, you might be of the same number as me, or you might be of the same, like, house as me and planet. And so, you know, whatever, we'll go through that. We'll go through all that, but I want to be here for you guys. I really do. And I'm not saying lay all your problems on me, okay? I've dealt with enough people's problems, and I'm always trying to be the problem fixer, and I'm really focused on me now. But I do have a message that pertains to you guys, okay? So, I hope my words build you up, or I hope my insight, you know, gives you a key to other things, to things that you need to discover in your life to find your life path purpose. Alright, so with a Leo in the 10th house, you felt a bit different as a child. You kind of felt like there was something lacking in your childhood, or something that you didn't learn that you should have learned, that your parents didn't teach you, okay? You were very expressive but didn't know how to express yourself. People might have thought that you were like a bit odd because you are a bit eccentric, and you were just like wanted to be creative, like you had some type of creativity. So when you get older with Leo in your 10th house, you also, anything that you do with your job, you need to be the leader, but it also has to be a sense of expression. It's something that you want to create that, people are going to admire, and it's going to uplift them, it's going to inspire them to create something for themselves. You put your mark on the world because you felt like, as a child with Leo in your 10th house, you felt like you weren't good enough in a manner, or you felt like you were different, or you felt like you just didn't fit completely in the crowd. You wanted to fit in, but you couldn't because of your differences or your mindset, or whatever the case may be. I told y'all I blended in, but I see it now. I see it all. Because you didn't have that, like, even if the light shined on you, because you couldn't you weren't completely accepted, or you didn't learn what you needed to learn, or however you look at it, as a grown-up, when you go into the phase that I'm in now, you are going to use that way that you felt, and you are going to express it out into the world. Like I said, they say it has to do with something with your parents, but I also think it has to do with something with the circle of the people you're around. You know, your friends group, or your kind of friend group, whatever. The people that surround you as a child, or as a teenager. Whatever phase, like when you were younger, when you get into the phase that I'm in right now, okay? And I might be triggering some thoughts right now, some emotions about how you were treated when you were younger. You were different, you knew you were different, and you did shine, but you didn't get that full spotlight because people did not understand it. Here I am, some of you guys are going to understand me, some of you aren't, but as a Leo in the 10th house, you want to put that mark on the world. You take what you take the experiences you had in the past, and you brush those negative thoughts aside. You see your potential. You see why you were different, and you take that and you put that mark on the world, okay? We are all born, they say we're all born with a different spiritual gift. I mean, I don't even know, like, the categories of those. I mean, I know there's tons of them. I don't think, I just don't, I can't see how exactly I can't see how every spiritual gift is going to be, like, exactly, like, different. Like, you're not going to be able to decipher, like, what makes it different. But I think it's more of a combination. There's a combination of things that makes your spiritual gift different than other people's. And you may never realize it. It probably lays in your 8th house or your 12th house, because that's like the unknown and the secrets and what's in front of your face, but you can't decipher it because you don't have all the information, all the facts. So anyway, with Leo in your 10th house, like I said, you, with the expression part, you're going to take what you have and you're going to express yourself, who you are, and you're going to shine. You're going to put yourself out there and show what you have to offer to the world, and in an aspiring or inspiring manner, for the people who need it, because you're a true humanitarian. Leo in the 10th house is a very humanitarian factor. So with the bus, I built it, and people, it's like, I can do it, like, I'm doing this and you guys can do it too. And it just feels really good to be able to express myself. Like, I have been a little hermited and a little, like, socially awkward and so worried about presenting myself. Well, now I feel like with this bus and, like, my music really puts me in the right state of mind. So with the bus and all my creativity and my music and me being in my element is giving me the inspiration that I need to express myself to the world now, to people. This town I moved into, I wasn't raised here, but and it's a smaller town. It's bigger than the one I was raised in, but it's a lot smaller from where I came from. But I'm accepting where I am, and I'm putting my mark where I am. Like, this is it. So all you guys who have Leo in your 10th house, and just anybody, not even if you have Leo in your 10th house, anybody, anyone who is struggling with deciphering who they are because someone tells you not to be this way. I mean, as long as you're not like a raper or a serial killer or something fucking, like, who's to say things are right or wrong, but what's right or wrong in a moral aspect, okay? If people, like, I'm not saying, like, super, like, crazy, like, stuff. Who's to say this is crazy? Who's to say this? Who's to say that? Well, killing people, raping people, that's, no, that there's morals, right? That's, they say the dark side of a Libra is that they can literally empathize with anyone, and I can. Like, all the serial killers, like Ted Bundy, or like Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff, like I was drawn to that because, I'm a Scorpio rising, so I'm a little dark, but I was like drawn to that, and really was like, I just couldn't understand, why people would do these things to people. And it intrigued me that, that they were that way, but I also could I could empathize, that Jeffrey Dahmer was like, not Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know all their life stories, but just I put them as an example. But any serial killer, because I can't think of any names right now. I'm on a roll. I can't think of any names. But from watching like documentaries and stuff, I could emphasize or empathize. I could empathize on a level that, this person was raped their whole life. This little boy was raped his whole life, and his parents like locked him in a closet, and like he was like starved to death, and he was like literally psychologically tortured, and because of that now he's a serial killer, and he's like killing women and shit because his mother did this to him, prostituted him as a little. So you could see how traumatic, how terrible, how traumatic. It made me feel sorry for them because, yes, he killed 30 women and he did it in a horrible, gruesome way that is like a big fear of mine is to like be tortured or to come across someone like that. But at the same time, I could see that, you know, what a sad child, like what a sad childhood. Like, how, as a kid, him as a kid, I just want to hug him. I don't like talking or seeing these things or watching sad things anymore because the empath in me, it's like too sensitive, and I get too infatuated and too drawn into it. For instance, and you know, and you guys might even watch this. I'm trying to think of your names. The Memphis Three. They're not the Memphis Three, not the Memphis West Memphis. God, what is it? And I'm getting chills right now. The little boys, the three little boys who Reese Witherspoon plays in the movie. The West Memphis Three, I think. I'm blank. And I should know it because I was infatuated. Anyway, or six. I don't know, but three little boys were brutally killed in a horrible way, and it hurts me to even think about it right now. I had to block it out, and because it made me think about my son. Like, I think I'm gonna cry. And they were like, it was just horrible how it happened to them, and it was in a town that that things didn't happen, a small town. You see my eyes watering up? Oh God, it's so sad. And three children, three boys, because they like hard metal and like and just were kind of into, like, one of them I think was kind of into like high magic. He calls it high magic, not witchcraft. I follow him on Instagram because I see his innocence. He was just different. He was different, like I'm different, like you're different. But he was kind of drawn to what you would think is witchcraft, high magic, or they call it. I don't like the word witchcraft, but he was drawn to that. Well, anyway, these kids were robbed of their like childhood for, I don't know, 30 years. Like Natalie Maines from Dixie Chicks, and like Eddie Vedder, and I think even Johnny Depp, like they all got their story and helped these guys get out of jail because the people, you know, who killed these children were still walking the streets, but they pinpointed it. Because the kids that died were like 6, 7, and 8, but they pinpointed like these 16, 17-year-olds. And I think they were in jail for like 30 years or something, a long time. And if it wasn't for these famous people, you know, who took on the position to get them out, and the guy I think that filmed like because I'm kind of giving a shout out to these people. The guy that filmed like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, he had something to do with it too. Anyway, long story short, you know, they took initiative and they got these guys out. So I'm really glad you guys are out, and I'm so glad you were living your life to the fullest. But these children, you know, were killed in that manner, and it was horrible, and it really, for being infatuated, like it really hurt the depths of my soul, and I really was wrapped up in it for a long time, and I was just trying to decipher it because I was trying to figure out like why someone could do that to these children. And so you could see where I'm saying I'm getting infatuated, and I don't even know where I was going with that. Like, I was talking about serial killers, and I was talking about empathizing with the serial killer. Well, I empathize with these children, and I empathize with the kids who went to jail that didn't do it. They still don't know who killed these children. So why I use that as an analogy, I don't know. I could have used an analogy where I could empathize with someone else. But what I'm getting to is I can see all the aspects, and it gets to my soul. So I don't really try to dig too deep into that. And that's like going on a whole nother, like, I know I directed completely off that path, but everything's tied together, okay? And I'm saying, like, I'm talking about Leoma 10th house, I'm talking about being an empath, I'm talking about Libra, being able to empathize with the dark side of Libra is empathizing with, you know, people who could even be serial killers. It's because you can see all sides of things. And sure, that person's a serial killer and he did these horrible things, and I don't agree with it. And I don't think that what happened to him as a child should have made him be this way. I don't agree with that, but it did, and it's inevitable. And it was just really fucking sad that it happened to him. I know what I was saying. I was deep into that with those kids, and I had to separate myself from it with what happened with I think it's the West Memphis Six. It was like in Arkansas or Alabama, and I know, I'm sorry, I'm throwing, it may or may but not be throwing all these like false whatever at you, but I can't remember the full story, and that's because I told y'all I blocked some of it out because it ate my soul alive. For those poor kids that died, that were killed. But what I'm saying is, my husband had asked me if I read the book, like A Child Called It, and I was like, no, I don't even, like, no. And he told me about it, and just hearing that story, oh my God, like, I felt so bad for that child. All I want to do was hold him, and for like a couple of hours I kept thinking about it, and it would eat at my soul. And that's because the empath in me these days are so sensitive, that in situations like that where a kid's like mom set him on a burning stove, or he was starving to death and like broke into the lunchroom and ate a whole bunch of hot dogs, and they notified his mom because they didn't realize he was being starved, and I don't know how the fuck they couldn't because he was skinny. I'm sure she made him throw it all up and then eat it off the floor. Though that is terrible, and I could empathize with that guy if he grew up and was like a serial killer and was killing moms. He didn't, but I'm using that as something happened to a child. I could empathize why he would have a psychological issue from such a traumatic event. So anyway, Leos come from the heart with things, and Leo's in my 10th house. Your 1st, your 4th, your 7th, and your 10th house is what represents you the most. All your houses are important, but those are the most important. They're where like your biggest goals lie, or your biggest personalities. It doesn't mean the other ones aren't important either, because my 8th house and my 12th house, my 3rd, my 8th, and my 12th are very important to me, because it seems like it's a part of like my mission. It's a part of what's going on in my life, and I've been trying to decipher that. So anyway, with a Leo in your 10th house or without it, don't ever let anyone put you down and say like who you are isn't the way to be, because who you are in the way that you're supposed to be, it's a soul expression. It comes from the heart and the soul. It comes from here. Your purpose, your mission, your passion, who you are and who you're supposed to be comes from here, not from the head. Even the ancient Egyptians didn't even agree with the brain. They thought that you thought from your heart. They discarded of the brain, but they preserved the heart. So if that tells you anything, in this day and age, yeah, we do need the brain to be able to make logical decisions that's going to put us on the path that we need. But if you just use your brain and you don't use your heart, and you don't, infuse your brain and your heart together and put it as one, if you don't consider your heart, it's not going to work out for you. Even if it works out for you and you're a millionaire, something's going to be missing. You're going to know. Like, if you feel like there is like something lacking in your life, that's because something is lacking. That's just... And you can bury it all you want, but it will resurface until it's fulfilled, unless you hit your deathbed and whatever. That sucks. I think you'll be back here to do it again if that's the case. But I'm going to go now. I said that like 15 minutes ago. I just love putting this information out there. So be yourself. And when I say you be yourself, I think about that movie Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds, when he's like real fat and he gets real skinny and he works for like that music company, and he comes home and like the girl he always had a crush on is like still there, and the mom's like, just be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Like, that's what I heard. So that's just be yourself in that manner, okay? Embrace who you are. Embrace the life that you've chosen. Embrace that you have it in you to succeed. And remember, with manifesting, keep a positive thought and outlook on life, okay? Because you attract what you put out there. What you put out in the world comes right back to you. So like, subscribe, and share. Remember, my Instagram is ones_soul_expression. And on there is a blog, and I just blog a little bit, but there are a couple stories in there. And I like to direct off my path of what I chose to talk about, so I do a little better if I'm writing it down. That way I can edit and make sure it all flows. So have a blessed day, and I will see you soon.